Hi, Captain Mike here. I'm going to show you the latest little fusing project that I completed, and it kind of has a holiday theme to it. It's some poinsettias on glass. Actually, it's not my idea. I had seen this done to a similar effect by an artist on Facebook, and I could not find the post, or I would be more than glad to give him and or her a mention. But the fusing is fairly simple, and I'll show you the steps, then the equipment and supplies that I use, and a variation on this theme. Now, you might have noticed that there's a little difference between this one and this one, and I'm just going to mention it because this was the first one that I made, and when I did the math for the pieces to do the poinsettia, they turned out bigger than the piece of glass that I had, so they hung over. And that is an effect. You might want to do that. The next one that I did, I cut the glass to fit the poinsettia. But let me point out something right here before we get into the guts of this thing. If you have some pieces of glass that hang over like this, before you fire it, get you some, happens to be 1/8 of an inch fireproof paper. And this is just a little trick that works great for anything that hangs over. Push them under your pieces like this, and they will hold up the pieces of glass. They'll stay more or less straight. So that's just a trick. If you're going to use this style, make sure you have some of this 1/8 of an inch thick fiber paper, and go from there. If you're going to use this one, it's not a big deal. It'll support itself on the shelf. Now, here are some of the supplies, cutting supplies that you're going to need, or that I use. You can do this without them. A good set of tweezers, always nice for using, putting the small pieces in place. And of course, your choice of glass cutters, whatever you use. And to cut your angles, this helps. And it's just an adjustable carpenter square. And I use one of these to do a lot of glass cutting because it has a kind of a thick edge here, and it supports the cutter well. And it doesn't hurt to have a triangle. And if you have a protractor, that's good too. You may need that. And you probably won't need any a compass, but if you have one, that's fine. You can use that. Of course, you're going to need some glass. And I use COE 90, but as long as it's compatible, you can use anything you want. You're going to need a piece that you can use for the base. This happens to be just clear with irid on it. It's irid clear, but you can use whatever you want. I've used green and clear. In this case, I'm going to use some I don't know what you call this. It's got flecks all in it. It's green. It's really pretty. I'll think of what it's called in a little bit. And of course, some green and some red, or whatever colors you want. But for the poinsettias, these two colors here work out really, really nice. Now, what I do is I had to figure out the angles. So you're going to have to take this glass and cut it into a bunch of little diamond shapes, both the green and the red, and I'll show you how I do that in just a minute. I figured the angle out, and the angle that you need in this case was 60 degrees. And I made a template. I made it about, roughly an inch, so I could cut my pieces of glass like that. See, these pieces of glass are about an inch wide. Now, you can change it around all you want. I'm just showing you what I done. But every time you change the width and all, you're going to have to kind of make a new pattern. The angle should stay the same. And in this case, if you're going to use 6 rosettes, then you're going to use 60 degrees. If you use 4 or 5, you have to do the math. No, I'll tell you. If you use 5, it's 72 degrees. If you use 4 rosettes, it's going to be 90 degrees. You simply do that by taking 360 and dividing into that ever how many leaves that you want to have, and you're going to come up with an angle, okay? I hope that's clear. Now, what I do is I take this thing right here and I place it on my piece of glass, and I take a Sharpie and I mark on both sides. It's going to be hard for me to do it because I don't have a free hand and this won't stay put. But you'll mark it, then you'll move it, and you'll mark it, and you'll go all the way down this right here, marking them. Do the same with whatever pieces of 1 inch you're going to use. And then, of course, you're going to take your glass cutters, and you're going to need those. I didn't mention them earlier. You're going to, not cutters, I'm sorry, they're poppers or whatever, and you'll pop them all the way down. If you do glass, you'll know what to do with those. So then you'll have a bunch, of these, okay? And you'll need the red and the green. The yellow over here is used for the inside of the rosette. Again, I use opaque yellow. You can use whatever you want to use. To help hold a lot of the stuff in place, I use this Glasstastic gel, and that's so that these things won't slide around as you move them on the glass. Now, you can also use aloe. I have aloe, but the thing about the aloe versus the Glasstastic is the aloe does not set up. The Glasstastic does. You let it sit overnight and you go to move it to your kiln, it's not really going anywhere. The gel helps. The aloe gel helps, but if you bump it too much, it will move. So just keep that in mind. Now, here are the steps that you're going to use to do this. You've got your clear or your whatever color you want to use, and I always put the green down first. And I get them all together, nice and neat. And then I come back, and they'll look like that. And then I put the gel in the middle. That holds that in place, and then I come back and I put the red, and a little bit more gel there, and that holds that. But once that's done, I take my nifty little cutter pliers here, and I pop up a whole bunch of this color here, or whatever you want to use, into little tiny pieces, sort of like this right here. Okay, you see that right there? Okay, then you can set those in the middle, and if you put a little pool of the Glasstastic gel or the aloe there, they will stay in place as you place them. It makes it a lot easier. Then I take this whole thing and I put it on a kiln shelf with kiln shelf paper of your choice, bullseye, whatever you want to use, and I fire it to a tack fuse. I'll put that in the link below so that you'll kind of have an idea what the temperatures are, but you should know what a tack fuse is for your kiln because it'll be different. Now, that's all on the poinsettias. You can make them 4 1/4. You can make whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. This is just to give you an idea of what you can do. Now, a variation on this theme, and it doesn't have to be a holiday theme. In this case, I kept sort of a holiday theme, at least part of it. This one is just where I took the little yellow, in this case, diamonds, and I placed them there, like the the star over the manger, and I put some stringers down through here, and I made a little baby Jesus with a halo. You know, that's just one of the things that I done. I also put the poinsettia on a round piece of glass, you know, just like that. And again, make sure it is compatible. And this will make kind of an ornament. You can drill you a hole in it when you get ready. Now, if you don't need a holiday theme and you just want to come up with something kind of pretty, and you can embellish this any way you want, but I took the diamonds. You've got a whole bunch of diamonds. You cut them out of all your scrap glass, and then you take your diamonds and you just any kind of a round thing like that, you see, and you'll just take in your pen and you'll cut, you know, draw it around where it's round and clip it off with your cutters, okay? And then you're going to end up with something like this. See how that worked? Now, when you got those done, they're going to be kind of rough on the edges, and you can do one of two things. You can leave them like they are, and they'll probably round off, or you can take them to your grinder and you can smooth them up. That's all on you and how much work you want to put in it. But once you get that, I just stuck a little round thing right there in the middle for the little rosette. You can put this on a bigger piece of glass, smaller piece of glass. You can put leaves coming out of it. You can do whatever you want to do. But those are the things that you can do using these diamonds. And you can change the angles. You can put part of them at 60 degrees, which will make them all pop together. And you could make this one much longer if you wanted to. You could draw it out. You're just going to have to make, what did I do with it? Here it is. You're just going to have to make you a template that matches it. Now, the great thing about this is that if you have one of these over here, let me move some of this stuff. If you have one of these things, you can set this at 60 degrees. And when you put your piece of glass on it, let me get a piece of glass, and it'll have the marks on it for you to line up. And you just line up your cutter, your little cutter yellow thing down here. You see it? Okay, right down there. You just line that up on the mark and cut it and snap it all the way down. So that works good. If you don't have one of those, you can do it manually. You can take, and where you have your marks on your glass, you can just take your cutter and a straight edge, line it up, and very carefully pop it all the way down, okay? It's not a problem. I've done that before. In fact, it's on the first ones that I experimented with. That's exactly what I done. And then I said, hey, I'm gonna make a bunch of these things. So I set up my little cutting table. So pretty much that's it. That's what you have. And I hope that you make some of them. If you have more ideas, let me know. Most of this is scrap glass. I love working with scraps. So there you go, folks. That's my Christmas poinsettias. And I hope that you enjoy them. And I hope that you make some. Let me know how they come out. I'm Captain Mike. I'm out of here.